Have you ever imagined working in something so bizarre that it would seem like something out of a fictional story? Welcome to our video about 8 weirdest jobs in history that will shock you. Today we're going to explore the craziest and most unusual jobs that have existed throughout the centuries. Jobs that you would never have imagined, but that were essential at the time. Get ready to discover jobs that no one wants to have, but that, at one time, were crucial to society. If you think your job is weird, wait until you see what these people faced in the past. Let's go. The Royal Lice Hunter, the most itchy job in history. Imagine living in a time when taking a bath was considered a bad idea. Yep, welcome to the 18th century, where people believed water could literally make you sick. Instead of showers, the upper class preferred layers upon layers of perfume and powdered wigs. Sounds fancy, right? Well, not for the lice. These little critters turned royal heads into 5-star hotels. And that's where the Royal Lice Hunter came in. This wasn't just some random servant plucking bugs from a duke's greasy scalp. Oh no. The Royal Lice Hunter was an official and often well-paid position in the court. In some cases, they were even trusted confidants of kings and queens. Imagine having that on your resume. Personal lice specialist to His Majesty. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't they just shave their heads? Good question. The answer, fashion. Wigs were the ultimate status symbol, and no self-respecting noble wanted to be caught without one. The problem? Those wigs were rarely washed, and lice loved them. A lice hunter was the last line of defense between a royal and an unbearably itchy scalp. Professional mourners, cry me a river, literally. In ancient times, mourning the dead wasn't just about feeling sad. It was a performance. Picture this. You're attending a funeral, and it's not just about saying goodbye. Nope. The deceased didn't get a tear unless they had a professional mourner on their side. In ancient Egypt, Rome, and even China, it was common practice to hire people to cry at funerals. And I mean really cry. The more dramatic the breakdown, the more it showed how much people respected a dead person. It wasn't about genuine sorrow. It was all about showing off. All these mourners were highly skilled in the art of wailing, sobbing, and basically giving the performance of their lives. They could bring tears to your eyes just by pretending to be sadder than you. Imagine hiring someone to cry louder than a grieving family. That's next level drama. In ancient Rome, wealthy families would pay mourners to follow the funeral procession, sobbing and ripping their clothes as they went. The richer the family, the louder and more intense the crying. It was like a red carpet event, but with a whole lot more weeping. Royal food taster, the job you'd hope doesn't come with a deadline. Ever wonder what it would be like to dine with kings and queens? Fancy banquets, exotic dishes, and a full-course meal served just for you. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, not if you were a royal food taster. Because while everyone else was enjoying their feast, the taster's job was to make sure nothing was poisoned. And guess what? That's a pretty dangerous gig. In medieval times, kings, queens, and nobles had to worry about more than just bad table manners. Poisoning was a real concern, especially when it came to rivals who wanted to get rid of them. Enter the royal food taster, whose job was to test every dish before the royal family could touch it. Sounds like the job perks were all about surviving the meal, not enjoying it. And here's the kicker. The taster didn't get to enjoy the food. They had to make sure the meal was safe by taking the first bite, waiting for any signs of poisoning, and hoping they didn't drop dead. If they did, well, that was a pretty clear sign the king wasn't eating that dish. It wasn't exactly a high-paying job either, at least not in the I'm gonna be rich and famous way. More like, hey, here's a meal for you. Now take a bite and pray it doesn't kill you. The real fun part? The expiration date for this job was always uncertain. If the king's enemies didn't get to you, well, the food might. It's the kind of career that really made you think, do I really want to test a chicken today? Human alarm clock, the job that really got you up. Before your trusty phone's alarm started screaming at you in the morning, people actually had real humans to wake them up. Yep, you heard that right. Human alarm clocks were a thing, especially all during the Industrial Revolution. Now, imagine this. You're sound asleep, dreaming of whatever you dream about, and suddenly, bam, someone's knocking on your window or even shooting a slingshot at your house to get you out of bed. Talk about an early wake-up call, right? These human alarm clocks were literally hired to make sure you didn't sleep through your morning shift. The job wasn't exactly glamorous, and it sure wasn't easy. These workers had to wake up before the crack of dawn to get to their clients' homes, making sure people were up on time for the day ahead. It wasn't like today where you can snooze your alarm a few times. Back then, you got one shot at it. And let's not forget the best part. These human alarm clocks didn't just knock or ring a bell. Some even used slingshots to launch pebbles at windows. If that didn't wake you up, well, then you probably didn't deserve to be awake at all. Can you imagine rolling over and seeing a tiny rock flying toward your face? That'll get you out of bed faster than any beep. Official head cutter, the job where you're always on the cutting edge. Ever wonder who did the dirty work during medieval executions? Enter the official head cutter. No, this wasn't just some random person with a big sword. These were trained professionals whose job was to decapitate people, and they were good at it. In the Middle Ages, getting your head chopped off wasn't as simple as it sounds. It wasn't just about swinging a sword and hoping for the best. No, the head cutters had to know their craft, and they trained to make sure the process was as quick and clean as possible. We're talking about precision, people. These pros were trained to get the job done without much bloodshed or struggle, which is harder than it sounds when you're dealing with something as delicate as a neck. Some of these head cutters even gained respect and fame. Yep, some of them were so skilled, they became renowned for their quick work. In fact, there were times when the king would call on the best head cutter in town to take care of any royal beheadings. It was a job that required a steady hand and the right kind of temperament. You probably didn't want to be squeamish when you were about to chop off someone's head. Poop night, the unsung heroes of the smelly streets. Imagine living in the 19th century, walking down the street and dodging not just puddles of water, but piles of horse poop and, well, human waste. Ew, right? Well, fear not. There was actually a special group of people who took on the thankless job of keeping the streets clean. The Poop Knights. These workers were responsible for collecting and hauling away the mounds of poop that covered the streets, making sure that city life didn't become an unbearable stinky nightmare. And guess what? It wasn't just horse poop they were dealing with. Humans contributed to the mess too. Picture it, in major cities with horse-drawn carriages everywhere, the streets were practically a minefield of manure. And without modern plumbing, there was a lot of human waste to deal with as well. The Poop Knights would ride around picking up the mess and keeping the streets as clean as possible. Sure, it wasn't the most glamorous job, but someone had to do it. And believe it or not, it was actually a pretty important role. If those waste collectors didn't show up, cities would have been overrun with filth, disease, and, well, a lot of very unhappy people. These workers were often overlooked by history, but they were truly the unsung heroes of the time. Without them, the cities would have been almost unlivable, filled with muck and stench. Urine collector, the job that really stinks. Literally. In ancient Rome, there was a surprising demand for one very unusual product: urine. In a time when soap and modern cleaning products weren't even a thing, urine was the secret ingredient in everything from stain removal to dental care. How? Well, it turns out that urine's ammonia made it perfect for cleaning and whitening fabrics and teeth. So naturally, someone had to collect it. Enter the urine collectors, a profession so bizarre that it makes you wonder if your job is really all that bad after all. These workers would go from door to door, knocking on houses, asking people to donate their urine, and guess what? People actually gave it away. But why did they do it? Well, the Romans didn't exactly have the luxury of modern cleaning supplies, so they had to get creative. They used the urine for laundry, it worked as a bleach, for tanning leather, and even for brushing their teeth. Some Roman citizens even used urine mouthwash to keep their teeth nice and shiny, and we thought whitening toothpaste was a crazy concept. Now, while this job might sound a bit disgusting, it was actually pretty important. The demand for urine was so high that it became a valuable commodity. There were even taxes placed on it in some areas, making it clear that pee was one of the most valuable liquids in the empire. Passenger pusher, the job that gets you on the train. Ever been on a crowded subway train and thought, there's no way I'm fitting in here? Well, in Japan, there's actually a job dedicated to making sure you do fit in, even if it means a little push. Enter the world of the Oshiya, or train pushers, who work in the busiest metro systems to help cram as many people into a train as possible during rush hour. Picture this, it's 7:45 a.m. and the train station is packed with commuters. You're standing there crushed against strangers, desperately trying to find a way to breathe. And then just when you think it's hopeless, you see them. The OSHA. Wearing uniforms and looking very serious, these professional pushers jump into action. Their job to push people into the train until the doors close, and they're really good at it. Now, this isn't a job for the faint-hearted. These pushers have to be strong, quick, and unfazed by the mass chaos. They use their bodies to gently, or not so gently, nudge people into the train, making sure the train is as full as possible before the doors shut. They're like the bouncers of the subway, but instead of kicking people out, they're getting everyone in. While this job might sound a bit harsh, it actually helps keep the train system running smoothly. Without the OSHA, rush hour would be even more chaotic, and the trains would never leave on time. From pushing people into trains to collecting urine, yes, really. History is full of bizarre jobs that make us wonder how people ever survived doing them. But hey, maybe they were onto something we don't know about. Maybe we could all use a little more creativity in our careers. Which one of these weird professions would you be willing to try or avoid at all costs? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what job you think is the weirdest of them all. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the strangest gigs in history, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on more wild stories and fascinating facts from the past. Because trust me, there's a lot more where that came from.